Hey folks, everything new under the sun. Now, if you are subscribed to the channel or you've watched my videos before, you know that I'm a bit of a homesteader, a bit of a prepper, a bit of a DIY person, and of course Bible prophecy. And this is going to be a bit of a DIY slash prepper sort of video. And the question that I'm looking to answer, or at least give my opinion on today, is how to learn how to repair your electronics in case of an EMP. And even if you don't have anything as sensational as an EMP, what if the grid goes down, the economy fails, resources disappear, you're locked in your house, whatever it may be, your electronics die. Now you may say, well, you don't need your electronics, if things have hit the fan, or if there's a Mad Max scenario. But you do. You need communications. Communications, especially receiving, like radios, NOAA Weather Network, government broadcasts. Those are critical. It's critical to collect information. Even if you don't believe that information, even if you don't accept it as the truth, such as from mainstream media, even if you're not going to necessarily rely on government information, it's good to know what those sources are saying so that you can collect that and make your own decision on what you need to do next or with that information, etc. So if there's an EMP and it ruins some electronics, or if you just have a failure because you're 2 weeks into a hurricane or a disaster and your radio dies, what is it? Is it the power supply? Is it a chip on the unit that's just died? Because components, surface mount, the image you see is a surface mount component, like a board for something, a motherboard in your laptop, whatever it may be, or in your radio. Radios these days are all electronics. They all have circuit boards. Radios are very basic in terms of power supply, and then the radio electronics, fairly simple. But you need some knowledge about how to look at components, know what the components are, have some general idea what they are, what they do, and have some general idea on how to diagnose and test those components. Now, I'm not going to get into the specifics of how to test components, but what I do want to look at today is some of the tools you should get now while you can, while Amazon is still operational, while China is still shipping products, because everything you get is from China, and that's why I say you need to store up and stock up. And so what we're going to talk about is this. So just as an example, an EMP or just system failure. This is an article from Reddit. And the question is, what happens in an EMP? And the issue is that all the wires, the traces on the motherboards, receive the electromagnetic pulse, the radiation that comes from a nuclear blast in the sky, or one that hits the ground, or maybe even a hurricane and knocks out the power and just sends a pulse of electricity. That's why you have a UPS on your computer, because they're very sensitive to small changes in electricity. And if you have a lightning bolt hit your house, that can induce electricity in the wires, whether that's wires plugged into your outlets, or even if it's close enough, powerful enough, the small traces on the circuit board. You look at all the lines that you see on that, those are called traces. Those are little copper traces generally going from component to component. Those act effectively like antennas, and current can be induced in those by way of a lightning bolt, EMP blast, and can overwhelm these small components and burn them out effectively. Now, a capacitor, for example, the little capacitors you see there, when they blow and cause a dead short on the circuit board. Whereas when that means a closed circuit. When the resistors blow, they blow up, and they cause an open circuit where electricity can't flow from side to side. So you get your voltmeter and you test them accordingly. Again, I'm not going to get into that, but that's kind of the case of basic electronics repair is helpful, because it doesn't matter if it's an EMP or you're just 2 weeks in or 6 months into a disaster and you need to repair something. And so that's what this is about. Now, what I've done is I've started collecting tools to be able to repair electronics. Now, this is from my Amazon, and I just got this. Now I already have a soldering gun, just a plain old metal tip soldering gun. What I don't have is a rework station, and the reason you need a rework station is to work some of those small components, surface mount components. And so this is one thing you may want to think about getting. You can get cheap ones for even $40. The one that's there is about $100. And you can also get, you need desoldering, you need flux, which is not shown on here, and you need some solder wicks so that you can take the solder off the board so you can place the component back down. And then at the bottom there you can see a surface mount component assortment box. This comes with resistors, capacitors, diodes, transistors, LEDs, various things, and a little board where you can practice soldering and using your kit. So this is a great thing, a great DIY thing you can learn yourself to replace basic capacitors, resistors, things, the most simple components that may give you trouble when things go sideways and you can't get these. You can't go onto Amazon anymore. You can't order them because you're locked in your house, or the grid is down, or the supply chain is down, whatever it may be. This is a simple thing that you can get for not too much money. Teach yourself how to do it. You can repair your radio communication equipment or laptops or whatever you have, or other people's. Now, it doesn't have to be surface mount. It can be larger capacitors, electrolytic capacitors, which are not technically surface mount units, but you can repair those with basic knowledge of electronics. And this is a key skill to have. In this day and age of throwaway electronics, iPhones, people just toss their computers or TVs in the trash. It's usually not even worth taking it to a computer store to get fixed. And if you ask your friends, no one's going to know how to do this. So this is going to be a very valuable resource when things go sideways. So this is just an example of a rework station. Again, you can look at this, and let me just go here. Yeah, so this is the. Oh, whoops, let me get key off that there. No, this is what I want to show you. There we go. So this is a basic rework station. This basically blows hot air instead of using an iron, a hot iron, which you're probably familiar with removing or doing some soldering jobs. So that's that. And let's go look at this. Here is an example of, and you can see I purchased that. I'm walking the walk. I'm learning this myself. This is the component case where you get all the components, you get some solder, and you get some practice boards, so you can learn this by yourself and figure out how to do it. So I highly recommend that for sure. With this kit, you'll be able to repair a lot of electronics if there's no one else to help you. It may take you some time, but you'll be able to do it. This is another one I got, which has the desoldering wick here. Let's see, make sure you can see that. Desoldering wick, the little extractor for the solder. These are kind of the basic components you need to be able to do basic soldering jobs. This is not the best hardware. This is not the fastest hardware. You will have to learn how to use some of these tools, but when things go sideways, this is going to be key. Now here's an example again of kind of just a whole number of units that you can get, from expensive units, which come with the soldering gun and the hot air station, all the way down to cheap units. And you can see the $65 unit there. You can even get hot air rework stations that are cheaper than that. So those are the things I would recommend. Get a hot air rework station. Make sure you have a good iron. A lot of people have irons. Learn how to use it. Practice. And get a practice kit like I showed you there that has a practice board, so you can take components, capacitors, resistors, practice soldering. Solder them on and then pull them off with the hot air gun. Remove them, remove all the solder, practice that back and forth, so that if you have a radio that dies, you're going to be able to diagnose it and fix it. And then you'll be also be able to diagnose it and fix your neighbor's radios. I mean, it's a key skill to have. It's going to be a very valuable skill. I think in the last days, should the economy crash, and it did in 1929, by the way, and people had to, live based off their skills, and this is a key skill, as there's going to be a lot of electronics dying because they're not going to be being replaced by China when we go to war with China, right? So you're going to need to learn how to make use of the electronics that you do have and be able to repair them. Getting that kit with all the assortment of capacitors and resistors is going to enable you to not only practice and not only fix your own stuff, but maybe even sell your services. Say, I will fix your radio, whatever it may be, ham radio, receiving radio, your TV, your computer, for a small fee, or maybe for some food, right? So it's great bartering. And I guarantee you, there's going to be very few of you that know anybody that can do this sort of repair work. And it's not that hard. Learn how a basic resistor works and how you can test it. Learn how a basic capacitor works. When you get up to CPUs and integrated circuits, ICs, other things like that, you don't necessarily have to understand how they work. Just watch a couple YouTube videos on how to fix them, how to check, whether they're shorted or not, blown or not, whether the components are working or not. And then buy an assortment kit so that you are able to replace them. Buy a kit of electrolytic capacitors. Those are things that regularly go in electronics. And if you just have a pack of assorted ones, you're going to be able to fix a lot of your electronics. Remember, it's like fixing a car. It's a mystery to you until you're shown it the first time, and then you realize, oh, it's not that difficult after all. So, going back to the beginning, if an EMP hits, figure it out how to test these things. Gain the knowledge so that you have something that's barterable. When things get hard. The Bible says the mark of the beast is coming, where if you don't have it, you can't buy or sell. What are you going to do? You're going to have to barter your skill. You're going to have to hopefully find someone you can trade with. Say, I have this skill. I can provide this to you. And maybe you can give me some food for it, right? And being able to repair, I keep going back to communications. That's going to be one of the most important things to be collecting information. The other thing is, a lot of people suggest, and I suggest this, is to put survival documents on USB sticks. The thing is, if there's survival documents on a USB stick, what happens if your power supply goes on your laptop or some other component, or if you wear out the power adapter on it, the actual interface? If you wear that out and you need to replace it, are you going to be able to? Do you understand it enough to figure out if there's 12 volts or 16 volts coming out of your power supply and come up with a way around that? Very valuable skills to have. Again, not very many, very, very few, small fraction of the population actually know how to do basic soldering and electronics diagnosis things. And this is going to be a key value in the post-apocalyptic world. After an EMP, after Hurricane Helene or Milton, that have maybe water damaged some components, you're going to be able to repair those and make use of those. And if a unit is unrepairable, you're going to be able to scavenge components off that old motherboard, that old laptop, to use for a good laptop that you can kind of cobble together. So I was thinking that this is more for the more advanced prepper, but not really. I think everybody should learn basic electronics, basic AC, alternating current, DC, direct current skills, repair skills, diagnosing skills, and these will help you in the last days. So those are my thoughts about how you should get prepared, what sorts of components you should get and collect and be ready with in the last days. So thanks for watching. Let me know your comments below in the video. Do you have electronic repair skills? Do you have the components? Even if you know how to do it, do you have a stock of components to replace after water damage, after a lightning strike, after EMP? Or are you just assuming that you're going to lose that piece of electronics, and so you've doubled up on your electronics? You bought a second radio, and that's key too. Have duplicates of your hardware, because if you can't repair it, you're going to hope you have a secondary unit to get access to those survival PDFs or to get access to the radio communications that you need to listen in on conversations, or to be able to communicate with people outside a destruction zone, for example. So I'll leave there, guys. Thanks for watching, and let me know in the comments below.